Hi there, Dr. Brian here on Monday, coming to you at the end of the day. I had a really interesting discovery over the weekend, and it joined two pieces of information together that really made some sense. So I came across Dr. Ken Berry the other day, and he's a carnivore. He only eats meat. If it's ribeye, he's very happy. And I think Jordan Peterson is in the same category. He only eats meat. And both men had a marked and sharp increase in their health when they stopped eating vegetables and grains, just eating meat. And, a lot of people would be very concerned that that would lead to terrible health outcomes, bowel cancer, high cholesterol, things that are considered to be bad. Now, what's really, certainly bowel cancer and dying is not good. It's up for discussion whether high cholesterol is bad or not. I'd say that there's a few things that really, it's very interesting. I'll just do a bit of a loop. And then I read another piece of information the other day was talking about the role of lectins as a phytochemical that protect plants. So one of the comments that, and this was actually part of the thesis that Dr. Berry mentioned, that animals protect themselves with teeth and claws, but plants protect themselves with chemicals. And if plants particularly want to protect their seeds and their leaves, they actually put quite robust chemicals in them that actually will stop animals and people eating them, because they also have a survival imperative. They're not just here for our pleasure any more than an animal is. If you believe that animals should never be killed because it's not kind, plants don't want to be eaten either, which could leave us in a very difficult situation for how to feed ourselves. So what this piece of research looked at was the idea that lectins are a very protective protein that plants contain that really are quite toxic to animals, and they're there to stop us eating them. Now, they sit in various layers of the plant, and if you go into some cultures, you'll find that they would never eat the husk of rice. The rice is always husked, so it's white rice, not brown rice. And that, you peel a potato, and that the Italians always peel a tomato and take the pips out. And so what we may be seeing is the move to grain-based fibre, and the belief that it was beneficial, means that we've actually increased our toxic level of lectins. Now, I find that really interesting. Lectins, not leptins, lectins. And so what's fascinating is quite often the original hypothesis that forms the basis of a whole health guideline is often based in really, really, really poor information. Earnestly held, but really poor information. And it's actually just not, it's potentially done by people that don't look outside their laboratory, so they don't really pay attention to what's happening in the rest of the world and what the outcomes are in those other places. So let's take a squat below parallel. So Texas University did a famous study in the 70s that declared that a deep squat was extremely dangerous on the knee, and that you should never squat below halfway, sort of top of the thigh parallel with the floor. Neglecting the fact that at that point in the 70s, probably 2/3 of the world's population sat without a chair with their hips or arse on their heels. And they weren't all in the orthopedic hospital getting new knees. In fact, they have no knee problems. So is this a flawed premise? And the answer is hell yes, because if you look at a sports group that have huge weights with a very knee-deep squat would be Olympic lifters. They hurt their shoulders and elbows, but almost never their knees. So if there was going to be a knee problem, that's related to deep squat, here's a sporting group that would actually prove that it was a really bad idea. So how come that group of sports researchers didn't even inquire about the injury rates in Olympic lifters? And then how did it get traction? I'd say it got traction because no one likes doing deep squats. So we've been given the day off on deep squats because they're just really hard. But they really work. They really stabilise the knee because the musculature around the knee really supports it. Now, getting back to lectins. So apparently there was a study, 70s, 60s, went to, 4 o'clock start. A scientist went to Africa and he was stunned that there was no bowel cancer, and he looked at the diet of the locals and noticed that they ate lots of grains, and he didn't seem to notice that they husked them. But he felt that the fibre was super important, and that the whole fibre hypothesis was built on this one locality observation, and there was obviously something else involved. Anyway, so everyone said eat grain fibre, and it became the key to our health was to actually eat grain fibre. And guess what? We're all sicker with more sicknesses. And so, it's like cholesterol. Cholesterol is the most important molecule in your body if you have a nervous system. It is, if it's in your heart, it's because you've got inflammation, which is probably because you're eating lectins. So it's kind of amusing. Dropping cholesterol to a super low level if you're wildly inflamed is possibly a good idea. But it'll probably give you dementia and other problems because lectin actually is super important for keeping the cells healthy and the nervous system healthy. So unless you're a plant, you need cholesterol. And we're probably not plants because we have a nervous system, so cholesterol is it's vital for brain health and nervous system health. So get your inflammation down, potentially have white rice, peel your potatoes, take the seeds and skin off tomatoes. It's sounding difficult, just don't eat them. So I'm going to write more information on this, and there'll be a post or information attached to this and a link at a future date just to expand it for you. So there's my hot tip of the week. Have a look at your lectin levels. They're very prevalent in tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants. So basically the nightshade group of vegetables that we've always known aren't good to eat. Okay, there you go. There's Monday madness, Monday goodness. Have a great week. Bye.